Hola, boa tarde, boa noite. Yeah, I think that's it. Nobody's in another time zone further than that, I don't think. Hey, happy Thursday. Feliz Quinta-feira. Hey, Quinta-feira. Yeah. Yesterday it was Wednesday, so Quarta-feira. Hey, I'm Krishan, the founder of Blaxit Global, the host of the Blaxit Global podcast. You're a Black person, you're looking to move abroad. I'm your girl. I'm joining you from my home in Lisbon, Portugal, where it has been warm. Well, warmer than warm. Let's just call it hot. It has been hot here in Portugal. And the other day, when I took Bailey out in the morning to go to the bathroom, I was like, I smell something in the air. I'm like, what is that? I was like, it smells like a campfire. And then later in the day, it was gone. And then another friend shared on her IG story. She lives, I think now she moved more into the interior. So I guess there were some wildfires going on. And so that was the smell. So I was like, what is going on? But it's that time of year. Plus, we have not had rain in a few months. Like we had that really, really big rain for a month after I got back from Vietnam and Thailand, and not much since. So, global warming is real. But it's good to be here. Good to see you. Good to be seen. Hey, I'm on early. I think this is going to be the new time. I'm trying on new times while we're in summer because I know for a lot of you, you're like either on compressed work weeks or taking some time. But this earlier time is working better for my bedtime. So I think this might be the time. So, like I said, it's good to see you. I have had a week. We are in Thursday. The weeks are flying by fast. Tomorrow is August 1st. It's hard to believe that in like 31 days, we're going to be in September. Crazy, right? It just seems like yesterday I was celebrating my birthday in Croatia. And so now here we are. And the thing that I'm working on and some of the things that we'll talk about tonight, I had to get back into my fitness because I'm bouncing back from an injury. And when I was in my 40s and I had a couple of, exercise related injuries, they took a long time to heal. And I was like, right? Who wants to get hurt, right? But it takes longer. Once you cross from 30 to 40, it takes longer. And then what I've learned is when you cross over from 40 to 50. So I was like, look, I'm just looking at food between perimenopause and looking at food. I gained like 10 pounds. So needless to say, I was like, look, Nee, I need you to calm down. And so fortunately, this week I tried a new Pilates studio, different from the one I was at before, and a different type of Pilates, reformer still, because I love the reformer. I love the jumps. But if you have not so great knees, which I now realize I have, thanks to the doctors here, have been great. They were hurting. So then this studio is dynamic reformer Pilates, which is different. And they use more of a trampoline style board. So way gentler on the knees when I do the jumps. And so I jumped today. I did jumping on Tuesday. The knee is holding pretty well. So I'm like, okay, I think we're good. Because let me tell you, you want to learn how to transform your body and your mind. Oh my gosh, Pilates. It's like a natural high. I love it. So let me say hi to who is in the chat first today. It was Minas. Hey. Hey, Mia's in the house. We have our Blaxit Global Passport members. Hey, Siobhan. How are you, the ABX girl? Not be forgotten. I love that. Hey, Greta Cobb. Hey, Mia. Mia's in the house. Hey. So, yeah, like I know, like I said, I'm playing with these new times. So, for some of y'all going to come in the future and be like, hey, wait a minute. I didn't realize I'm trying on some new things. We're doing new things. This is what we do. So, other announcements. So, y'all missed a wonderful session. Those of you who are not in Blaxit Global Passport. My friend Tadasi led a wonderful workshop over the weekend on how to bop around the world. So she and her family bopped around the world for a year before moving to Portugal and shared a ton of resources, mindset work, all the things that you need to do and consider in preparation for bopping around, because some of us don't want to just move to one place. I mean, that wasn't my original plan, right? My original plan was going to be to bop, but seeing as how I got me a little four-legged friend during COVID, I still bop, but calculated bops. So definitely, if you join Passport, it's available for you, as all of our workshops are, for replays. And then the other thing, Blaxit Global is 5. So yes, we are still celebrating in style. We are having our yacht party October 23rd. So if you are planning to come to Portugal, if you're going to be in a neighboring country, maybe you're in Spain, maybe you're in France, somewhere in Europe, maybe you're coming from the continent, as several tickets were purchased from people who are on the continent. So, you know what? Come see your friends, come see your faves. You'll see past guests, YouTube channel guests, some past podcast guests, some future guests. Look, come on, hang out, let's celebrate. We're going to do some wine tasting, lots of dancing, enjoy a wonderful sunset cruise and light bites. And then, if you're lucky and you got your ticket, although there is a change in venue for the dinner, so now we still have some seats available, you can join us on October 24th when Stephanie Perry and Rashida Dow, the co-creators and co-founders of Exodus Summit, will be in Lisbon, Portugal, and we are going to have a dinner. So those tickets are available if you are interested in coming and hanging out with us on October 24th. So I'm going to drop the link in the chat for those of you, because I know Exodus Summit Meetup was originally sold out. We've changed venues, so those tickets are now available, limited supply. So these are sold in real time, but I have a tracker that keeps track of how many people I can have in the venue. If for some reason y'all do a run on this bad boy and you exceed that, you will have your money refunded, because the place can only hold so many people. So if it goes bloop, and some of y'all be like, oh wait, I thought I was in. No, you are not. Right? But if you bought your ticket and you've got your email, not email confirmation, but and send an email asking you for your dietary preferences and all that, please respond to that. Some of y'all haven't, but as we get closer to time, if you want to eat, I need to know. Hey. Hey, so let me see. So I love it. Y'all telling me where you're tuning in from. Show About Nothing from Arizona. Hey, we got Seattle in the house. Love it, love it, love it. Yes. Awesome. So I wanted to talk about the emotional side of moving abroad. We talk about a lot about logistics. I've been doing this now for 5 years, over 5 years. And we talk about the logistics, right? Especially in Passport, like choosing a moving company, which I've got a lot about that. Talking about finding a job, right? If for some of you who are looking to find a job, thinking about retirement, where to live, best countries, etc. But there's an emotional component to moving abroad that can't be overlooked. We talk about it, but I figured today was going to be a day where we just do a deep dive because um, as a result of doing this for over 5 years, I see that there are two places in particular in the 7 stages, because we're talking about, oh yeah, I'm moving my hand too much. 7 stages of moving abroad, right? 7 Blaxit stages. And there are 2 stages in particular where people get stuck and either cannot move forward, and so they don't move abroad, or they languish on those stages a little bit longer than they should. So we're going to talk about that. Venus is in upstate New York. Hey, that was my old stomping ground. Hey, Joy, you're in Georgia. Joy in Georgia. Hey, hey, hey. Alexa's in the house. Hey, Durham. I'm going to be in North Carolina in November. Coming back to the States, y'all. Ho, 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 ho. Let's see if they let me in. All right. So we're going to talk about it. So for those of you who are thinking about moving abroad, you might be thinking, I want to do this, but am I crazy for wanting more? Because for some of us, we have been told so many things, conditioning, and part of conditioning means that there are things that, for example, you have to work twice as hard to get half as much, right? So on the one hand, on the surface level, it's like clear as day. This is the game that's being played. And this is how we have to exist to try to succeed. On the other side, though, it can create feelings of self-worth challenges. Because you're like, well, if I'm doing everything and I've been endowed with all of these gifts and abilities, but now I have to expend twice the amount of energy as the non-melanated person, right? Like, why? Why? So you're left feeling depleted. Excuse me. And so for so many of us, we're feeling burnt out. We have a dream about moving abroad. But then it stays a dream, right? Because we don't have the emotional support we need. Excuse me 1 second. Ooh, a little tickle in my throat, y'all. Sorry about that. And I haven't even been talking yet. So part of kind of figuring out where you are in this journey means that you have to understand that it is okay to want more for yourself, right? For those of you, most of you who are tuning in, right, you're in the United States. There's a lot of shenanigans happening in the United States on a daily, day-to-day basis. And so much that leaves you feeling frustrated, right? And so the first stage, I think that all of us who are on this journey go through is this stage of there's got to be more than this. And let me know in the chat if that statement alone resonated with you. Because there's this feeling of, at least for me, every day was Groundhog Day. I could do everything in my sleep. It was like, get up, get the kids ready for school, get myself ready for work, get in the car, drop them off to pick up a line, drop off line, get back on the highway, get to the office, park the car, go upstairs, do the fake smile, do my work. Fake smile, fake smile, fake smile. Oh, look, got to get back in the car at a certain time because I have to not get stuck in rush hour traffic, get the kids, get home, make dinner, right? Shower, sleep, rinse and repeat. And then, except for the weekends, because then you have, if you're lucky, 48 hours to cram all of the things that you need to have your household function in that amount of time. And plus, you have to sleep. So you really don't have 48 hours, right? So, and then of course, the Sunday scaries, because you're like, oh shit, I got to do this all over again. And so I think when we're younger, at least I was one who was guilty of this. You know, you're like, I can't wait to grow up. I can't wait to get out of here. Man, I did not know how good I had it, right? No bills, no worries about a roof over my head, no nothing. And you think that, things are going to be like popcorn and lollipops. And then, like I said, Groundhog Day. And that's just like the day to day. That's not including inflation pressures, political foolishness, gun violence, all of the microaggressions and macroaggressions, and acts of anti-blackness. And so for some of us, we're just sitting here and we're tired, right? And so I think for stage one, it's the realization that, you have restlessness. A lot of us are suffering from insomnia. I know I went through bouts of insomnia, weight gain, burnout, you know. Um, the US right now feels really unstable. And that feeling is unsustainable, right? Like, you're only 7 months into this president's second term, right? And you have a feeling, you have a yearning that there's more, right? That there's more than just being in survival mode. Ooh, the chat lit up. Yeah, I get it. Trying to get my scroll back. Show About Nothing said, I know there's more than this, and I will go and find it. Amen. Nia, yeah. Venus, yeah. I'm so glad it resonated with you. No joy, just the same routine every day. Yeah. And what that does is like it breeds and feeds into escapism. It's got to be more to life than this grind. Absolutely. Hey, Patricia. And then Kimmy said, we're told we should be happy with the rat race. If not, something's wrong with you. Woo! Talk about it. Mia said, this resonates. Hi, Bailey. You want to say hi to the peoples? Okay. Come on, say hi to the peoples. I'm about to read. Oh, goodness gracious. Bailey's here, y'all. Okay. All right, you sit. Mia said, this resonates. I'm on a career break right now. Congratulations. I am a nurse. I hated going to work. Sunday, 4 p.m., I felt depressed, angry. I knew working full-time was not for me. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, rest is necessary. As human beings, we rest. We're supposed to rest. And honestly, like this past almost 2 years of living in Europe, I've rested a lot. And it goes back to what I was saying about conditioning. Conditioning will make you feel like, oh, you're just supposed to grind. You sleep. I see these stupid ass comments. You sleep when you're dead. Do you know how long you dead? Like, that's the most asinine comment I've ever seen. Like, I don't know how that became a thing. And the human body is designed to rest. All things rest, right? Look, Bailey's little behind just climbed up over here and she just closed her eyes and went to sleep. But somehow we're supposed to be these, you know, machines that are supposed to work and toil and do nothing else. We're not supposed to have opinions about things, although people have a lot of opinions about us. We're not supposed to have opinions. We're not supposed to have feelings. We're not supposed to rest. Those are the things that compound and lead to, you know, a bunch of different, you know, ailments, diseases, dis-ease. Greta said, insomnia is real. Absolutely. When you're stuck in survival mode, that's all you can think about. You might be physically laying in your bed and trying to signal to your body that it's time to rest. But your body's wiring has been hijacked. It's telling you that there's something that's wrong, right? That where you are, your environment is not giving it everything it needs to be able to power down, right? Because think about it, when you are asleep, you are at your most vulnerable. Having a pet has illuminated that for me. When Bailey is in a deep, deep sleep, or when she's super relaxed, she's either like what she's doing right now, laying in my lap, or she's on her back with her belly fully exposed. Super vulnerable, right? But in order to do that, you have to feel safe. Some of us don't feel safe in our neighborhoods, and not because there's like active violence, but because your neighbor down the street got a big ass Trump flag. Make America Great hat, right? Like there are things in our environment, depending on where you live in the United States, water may not be safe. You know, infrastructure, it might not be safe, right? Sundown towns. And so all of these things are playing in your consciousness, your subconsciousness. Greta said, are people, yeah. Yeah, oh, please, especially now with their faux patriotism. It's like, oh man. Yeah, you need to rest. The American said it's the consistent downward trajectory in the US that's so demoralizing. The fact that it's intentional makes it worse. Woo, that right there. Because then, you know, like in the back of our minds, we were like, growing up, maybe you've heard this like, oh, the man, well, the government did, right? And there was some people like, oh, you're being a conspiracy theorist. Blah, blah, blah. No. It's clear as day. Our government hates us, okay? And then, you say something. Now, I was having this conversation, with my mom earlier. Now you say anything and they try to take your livelihood, But yes, there is more. And so I lost my train of thought earlier, but being in Europe, they prioritize rest. You go to Spain, 1 p.m., they take a siesta. Here in Portugal, some stores, restaurants, they close midday. Siesta in Spain, siesta in Portugal. Europeans, like we're literally, tomorrow starts August 1st. And when I tell you there's going to be a lot of stores that are closed because there will be no staff to keep it open because they go on holiday. Like my Bailey's groomer told me the other day, she was like, oh, I had a groomer now because I'm about to go on vacation and, we're going to be closed for a bit. They go on vacation 6 weeks, standard minimum by law, 6 weeks. Okay. None of the jobs that I had was that ever right? 6 weeks. And I made a lot of money at the time, right? It's like, what? I think the most I had was 3. Crazy. And then they want you to carry your phones, which, a lot of these European countries was like, no, right? Yeah. Oh, when I would be in the States and, you have these periods of awakening. And maybe this resonates with you and some other people that are watching. I would be driving if I saw, even if I saw the American flag, it would give me agita because I was like, what? What? Because it's 2 different Americas. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Angela said, some employers go out of their way to condone torture of their employees because they don't hold bullies and narcissists accountable. Woo, yes. I remember that at my old job. And these people unleash pure terror on those who report to them and the ones that don't. This has been a saddest my entire workplace experience over 30 years. I'm so sorry. Never truly had one moment of peace or felt valued in any of my jobs. I'm so sorry. You deserve better. It had nothing to do with you. You deserve better. And thank you for being so transparent and sharing, because that being vulnerable and sharing that is going to help somebody else, because somebody else is sitting there feeling the same thing and feeling like they're the only one. They have to toughen it out because they have a good job or a roof over their head, a nice house in a nice neighborhood, right? Nice car, right? Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No. Yeah. And I sleep well here. They have blackout curtains on the windows. And when I used to come to Europe, I used to be like, wow, what is it? Like these abandoned buildings. They're not abandoned. They just don't let the sun in so you can sleep. That was the first time I got some good ass sleep. I was moving here. I was like, man. Mm-hmm. The ABX girl said in the French Caribbean in St. Martin, 2-hour lunches. Yes. Yes. 2-hour lunch is mandatory. Wow. Half an hour working from home. Yeah. I remember at my old job where they would, because I'm a foodie. So I would eat at a certain time. And then they would put a meeting. And I was like, oh, so you don't want me to be there? Because I am eating. And I'm either going to have to get this food before I go to this meeting, and then you're going to hear me eating in your face the whole time and not listening because I'm chewing in at you, loud in my ear. Or you're going to feed me during this meeting. Like, teach people how to treat you, right? Yeah, a lot of things are closed in Europe. Definitely closed in Portugal. It's family days. Italy, Spain, Portugal. They're like, fuck this money. Right? I need my family. You can't take it on the other side. So I think that's stage 1, right? Stage 2 is the breaking point. I can't do this anymore, right? Stage 1 was the realization that there has to be more. Stage 2 is the breaking point. And for some people, for everybody, it's going to look different, right? And that can be anger, right? You have to name your feelings. So many times, especially as Black Americans, we struggle. I struggle. I'm actively working on naming my feelings, because so many times we are needing to have our face is divorced from our emotions. I don't want them to see me upset. Well, if somebody gets you crying, you already know you about to get bopped, right? Um, but it's like we have other emotions besides anger, fear, and happiness, right? We have joy. We have at times grief and sorrow. Um, but so many times I've been accused when I was in the States, that doesn't happen here, thank God. Where people are like, "Oh, are you upset?" And I'd just be happy as it could be. I'd just be sitting in the meeting, just listening. And I'm like, just processing, because that's how I take in information. And they'd be like, "Oh, I thought you were upset." What? So many times we've had to separate ourselves from our emotions to deal with the situation. But now it's time to bring that back together. And so, you get to a breaking point. For some people, it was the pandemic. For some people, it was the unaliving of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery. For some, it was Tamir Rice, you know, Hurricane Katrina. I mean, some people have been abroad for years. For some, it was, Trump coming back into office. I shared it on a post. So I get approached for interviews, and I'm actually doing one tomorrow. And sometimes they don't want me. They want people that are in our community. And so I was really happy that Janae, who moved here, let's see, it was June of 2024. And her parents and I go way, way back. And so it's like having a family here as well. And so she did a wonderful piece where she shared her story. Janae was also a speaker at the Move to Portugal Virtual Summit. But yeah, the tipping point was being queer and being in the US, knowing that Trump was coming back, right? And a lot of us felt collective grief after we showed up at the polls and we stood in line, and they didn't want us to have water. There was so many things that were, moving polling places, gerrymandering, all of these things that are reminiscent from an earlier time in the US. And for some, it's workplace trauma, where you just feel like you've had enough, like this is going to be the last time they overlook me for a position, right? This is going to be the last time they play in my face. And that's the time, that's the emotional weight of being Black in America. There was a story that I saw on Good Morning America, and I believe the stat was for Q1. I don't even think it was Q1 and Q2 this year, but 300,000 Black women have exited the workforce in the United States. Now, these aren't 300,000 Black women who have chosen to leave the workforce and move abroad, right? If only. These are 300,000 Black women who mostly were laid off, right? Had their jobs eliminated. And collectively, that represents billions of dollars in lost revenue for the United States. Who cares about the United States' lost revenue? What I care about are Black women not being in survival mode. And the upside, I will say, is that because we're so resourceful, and a lot of us are learning to, lean into one another, we are the most educated demographic in the United States, and we are the ones that are starting businesses. We are the fastest growing entrepreneurial demographic in the United States. So all is not lost. But what I would tell any of those Black women, or you might be impacted, is it is not you. It is not you, and it is not about you. It was them. It was never about you, your talent, your skill, your ability, the shape of your lips, the color of your skin, the texture of your hair, the width of your hip, the glide in your step, the articulation out of your voice. It is them. It is their insecurity. It is them continually changing the game. As you're not even trying to play the game, you're just trying to live. You deserve better. This country was not built, that country was not built for you to thrive in. They never wanted you to thrive. They want you stuck in survival mode. Patricia said, Kamala Harris, just one turning point as a Black woman, truth in our face. Yep. Yes. We are the only ones that's going to save ourselves. Absolutely. It is the time to take action. Hey, Desiree, thanks for tuning in. Greta said, when I got laid off in April, I was actually relieved. Ooh, preach. You don't always realize the stress we have until the stress has been removed. Absolutely. And another thing that we don't realize, and for many of us, we're not fully prepared for it when it happens, because it's definitely something that I wasn't fully prepared for when I moved abroad. But when you get out of, like you're on the hamster wheel, right? And it's like, zzz, right? And then you get off and you rest and you're like, whew. Then unexpected surprise is usually when the most shit goes down, right? You start falling apart. At least that's what was happening to me. Like all of these things. Oh, the joint pain, the inflammation, the insomnia, the this, the that. And you're like, well, damn, right? But here's the deal. All of those things were there, right? But your hormones were firing at such a level, your body's baseline changed. And it had to keep upping and upping and upping just to get you to function. Sometimes people drink, 2 big Coca-Colas in the morning. I used to have 3 big ass cups of coffee just to get through. And started with 1. By the time I was done with that damn job, I was up to 3 big ass mugs, jars of coffee just to function. Right? And so, like I said, you don't have to live like this. Greta said, boy, did my body feel it. Yeah. So that's the thing. It's like, and it's not to say, oh, well, I got to keep grinding so that, these things don't fall apart. No, because I know early on in my career, and sadly, that wasn't the only time, is I had colleagues that died on the job. Right? I know people now, like a sibling and, some of his colleagues died on the job, right? They didn't know that they were well past time to leave, right? The job was causing too much stress, whether it was stroke or cancers or all these different things. It's not worth it. You can't take any of this on the other side. You can't take that house on the other side, that car, that money, right? Mia said, since she's been on a career break, all of these revelations about my life came to surface and my body aches in new ways. Yeah. Siobhan said, belly fat decreased. Wow, medical leave for 9 weeks. Yeah, stress is a silent killer. And it shows up differently for women than men and shows up differently for us. Because again, it goes back to what I was saying about so many times our feelings, we're, divorced from our emotions. And that's why we need to have these conversations. That's why we need to name these things, right? Journaling is so important. Breath work is so important. Rest is so important. And joy, right? Joy can look like so many different things. It can look like painting. It can look like one of the things I've been wanting to do and I haven't done it yet, but I guess that's something that I should do soon. I've been wanting to do ceramics. Sometimes walking out in the park and putting your feet in the grass, smelling flowers, going to the beach, and you can create these things. Sometimes logistically it's not possible, but what I used to do when I was in the States, I had my you know Google Voice, Alexa, and I would have it play ocean sounds, and that's how I would go to sleep every night. Right, just ocean sounds, and it would just play all night because that's what I needed to like get my body and know like the ocean and the sounds of the water is always calming for me. And so I was like, okay, I can't get there, but how do I recreate it? Burning a candle, taking a bath, getting your favorite scent, spraying your pillows, washing your clothes in a favorite scent. Like, these are ways in which you have to start to center your senses and tune out. Tune out. Wow. Yeah. Yep. Yep. I believe it. I believe it. Especially after like all those Enron and all those companies started to fall. Sherry Lee said playing ocean sounds in the background right now. Yay. Yeah, the body does keep score. That's actually a book. I haven't read it, but I've heard it's been mentioned a few times on the podcast by different guests. But the body keeps score. Yeah, and that was one of the reasons why I was like, oh, I need to get my ass back in Pilates because perimenopause got a chokehold on my ass, and I was like, no, right? And I'm like, I need a routine. But those are the things that, when you get off the hamster wheel and you afford yourself time, you can start to procreate. Like, what is it? What are the things that you want to do? For me, last year, I prioritized, learning Portuguese. And that was like a full-time job for like 5 months. And then I was out in traipsing around Southeast Asia for a month. So now I'm literally, and I've been traveling for months. So now I'm literally getting back into creating a routine and, thinking about these things. But these things are available to us, right? And we need to start to prioritize it. Stage 3. How do I leave? Right? How? How? This is what I call the research spiral. And this is where most people get stuck. So it's great to feel hopeful about, your thought about moving abroad. You can, you're like, there's something more in this life than this. Are there other places in the world where I could be happy? And then you're like, okay, this is the breaking point. Okay, I'm going to do this. And then you start to actively research, right? You see articles, you might have, seen a YouTube video or listened to a podcast, and then you go down a rabbit hole, right? And that's why representation matters. That's why I keep doing this, because when I started my journey and made a decision in 2017, I was like, I know we're out there. Like, I can't be the only Black person on this earth that thought about leaving, right? And everyone thought I was crazy, right? But then, you have 195 countries. You already lived in one, but there are 194 other ones. And so how do you narrow it down? Like, what are the things that you want from your new life? you've just made a decision. And so there's so many like steps and filters, and you go down, the rabbit hole of, Googling or using Chat GPT now that they have AI, or, going to YouTube University. And while these are great resources, like the Blaxit Global podcast, it's seeing proof, right, with your own eyes that there are Black people living well and thriving on the continent of Africa, in Europe, in Southeast Asia, in Oceania, like any place, in that we have been traversing this floating rock called Earth for centuries. And so we don't necessarily have to have the filter of, yeah, of course you have to choose a country where it's going to be welcoming. But, language doesn't have to be a barrier. My original plan was to move to New Zealand, where they speak English. They also speak Maori, but they speak, there's three languages spoken in New Zealand, right? English, Maori, and American Sign Language are the three languages, official languages. I didn't think I was going to Portugal. Portugal popped up in 2022 and I moved in 2023, right? So you have to leave room. You have to leave room for serendipity. But how you actually do it, there's tons of resources, right? But you have to, where people get stuck and why they get stuck is because I see a lot of it, and I'm in a lot of groups. They'll ask a group, they'll be in like, all these different various online platforms, They'll be in Exit Summit, Expat App, Black's Global Passport, be on this YouTube video, this and they'll ask the same question in 4-5 different groups and crowdsource their life. I don't have a horse in this race other than to see you succeed and thrive, right? I don't know anything about your finances unless you, do coaching, of course. Your finances, what you've been through, what your goals are, where you want to be, nor does anybody else on the other side of the screen who might be at work, having a moment of escapism themselves, whatever, right? So what they do is they keep spiraling and looking for information and never take action because it feels good to sit in step 3 because it's like, okay, I got this idea, and it's a distraction from the shit show that is your country, your job, your neighborhood, your spouse, your partner, them kids, whatever it is, right, that you're trying to escape. And so it's okay for you to sit in this stage, right? It doesn't feel like you're not doing something, because as long as I'm searching, I'm doing something. But I always say you have to take inspired action. There's now about 30 some odd people who have moved to Portugal since I have been here in less than 2 years, just through Blaxit Global Passport, right? And that's not including people who have helped support move to other countries. That's not including the 79 interviews I've had on the Blaxit Global podcast, or even on this platform, right? But inspired action makes the difference. It's taking enough information to make a decision. I decided I was going to move abroad in 2017. I created Blaxit Global in 2020. Still planning to go to New Zealand. I went to New Zealand in 2017. I went in 2020 so I could narrow down where I wanted to live. Pandemic happened, started Blaxit Global. I was like, oops, I don't qualify for a visa. Then, oops, 2021, my daughter said, hey, New Zealand's too far. I'm like, oh shit. Let me think about all these people I've been talking to. Thought about the conversations that piqued my interest the most. Went to Costa Rica in 2021, Costa Rica. 2022, came to Portugal. 2-3 days in, I was like, ooh, found my happy place. I'm good. Came back, started learning Portuguese. And September 2023, I moved here. You can do it. You can do it. Hey, you should come a few days early so you can hang with us. Yay. Yes, representation does matter. Yes, mindset. And talk a lot about that. Siobhan said, you can get lost down that research hole. Absolutely. And you know what? For some of us, that's like your job. You might be like the person who's a researcher or the project manager or the executive assistant. Like there might be parts of your job description that enable you to be like, I got this. I got every app. I got and then it's like, oh, well, this person said this. And then now you're trying to distill what this person said, what you read in the article, you have to be in community. I can't stress this enough. The people that actually move are the people that are in community and not just, oh, I'm here, right? It's the people who are actively engaged, who Blaxit Global Passport. We have workshops, we have accountability group every month, right? These are the people who are posting questions, doing the things, taking the course, right? Making concerted effort to move the needle, right? I'm not saying that research is bad, but what's the analysis paralysis? You can get stuck. You can get stuck. Keisha said, yes, that's where she is. Right? Told you I've been doing this for 5 years. That's the first one where people get stuck. So you're not alone. You're not the first, right? But now that you know that's where you are, now you have to figure out how to get out. And how to get out of that is get in community. You have to get in community. You have to get in community, one-on-one coaching, right? Okay, this is probably where I should probably be dropping some links because I'm realizing I probably didn't put that in the footer. Woohoo! Where's my scrolly? Where you at, Scrolly? Where you at, Scrolly? All right. You can sign up for Blaxit Global Passport. You can, this kind of came in funky. Hang on one second. I was trying to do it, but it doesn't put spaces. So let me do this again. First link is Blaxit Global Passport, our private community off of social media. And then the second is if you want additional support and one-on-one coaching. It should look a little less jarbled than it did the first time. Afro-millennial couple said, unfortunately for some, that research spiral can confirm every fear and doubt. Exactly. That's why you need to get in community and coaching, right? You need somebody who's going to talk you out of that. Because if you leave it up to yourself, let me tell you, the brain, the brain is a sophisticated operating system. Its job, its sole purpose is to keep you safe. And even though on one level, the country that you live in is not safe, the other day when there was a mass shooting in New York City, I think that they said that was like the 245th mass shooting this year. There hasn't been 245 days this year. Right? So on one level, like you're not safe as a Black person in the United States. But for some reason, your brain is like, well, I don't know anything about insert country, right? Whatever country you've been researching. And then it's like, well, is this one better than the other one? Like, I don't know. And then one person says, oh, I love it here. Another person's like, nah, this sucks. But none of those people are you, right? You have to put feet to the ground. That's how I learned Costa Rica wasn't for me. At that point, I think I had interviewed maybe 3 or 4 guests on the podcast, and each one had a different experience. Plus the countless episodes I watched of House Hunters International, right? So I had all these data points, and it wasn't until I went there and I was like, oh, Costa Rica. It wasn't for me. It is perfect for the people that live there. It is perfect for them. It just was not perfect for me. And Portugal is perfect for me right now at this particular stage in my life. Is it forever? I don't know. Right? I don't know. I've never met anybody who's been alive for forever, so I don't know. Right? And it's okay to be in the unknown. Desiree said, Blaxit Global Passport has been so helpful. Thank you, Desiree. It's helped me envision a different future for myself. I enjoy interacting with our cohort. Yay! Thank you. Love having you. Yes. Royale said, in Senegal, even the children come home for a break and school ends around 6. Yes. They do that here in Portugal too. And I'm like, why are they getting that? The parents is coming in late. The parents will come midday from work and pick them up, take them home, have lunch with their kids. It is beautiful. When I was walking Bailey the other day, these kids were getting off the bus and it must be camp. And these 2 buses pulled up and they all started singing these songs. And I was just like, it was the cutest little thing. And I was like, it's so beautiful to be surrounded by joyful children and active children who are running and playing and jumping and climbing and playing at the playgrounds, right? A lot of those playgrounds in the United States are languishing. They have not seen the can of paint in years. And kids that are in their phones or other devices, kids that are severely overweight, right? Kids that are ignored. Like I see people out all hours of the night. I would never do that in the United States. Cosette's in the house. Hey. Thank you, Siobhan. Yes, flexibility is powerful. You have to be able to come up with your criteria and have a filter, right? But at the end of the day, it's your life, right? You're the one who's going to be living this life, not me. But literally, this is the stage. There's 2 where people get stuck. Okay. So the letting go. Who will I be if I leave, right? In the United States, we're so wedded to titles and containers. Everything has to fit in a box. And this is at least the container thing has been something that I've been, actively trying to let go of in different contexts, of course. But it's the fear, right? Some of you mentioned it in the previous one about the spiral, right? Like it was a confirmation. It's like, oh, I do the research, but it confirmed this fear, right? So it's the letting go. Well, if I let go of the United States, what will happen? Some of it, and that's why I say getting in community is really important. Some of it is that because we've done cursory research or deep analysis, sometimes you're also butted up against myths and misperceptions, right? Some people think, oh, well, you moved to Portugal. Are you a Portugal a citizen of Portugal? No, I am not. I am a citizen of the United States. Oh, if you move to this country, don't you have to renounce your citizenship? No, I am a legal resident here, right? And each country is going to have a different set of rules, all these other things. But all that is to say is sometimes when we're taking in so much information, because again, human brain is designed a certain way. We can think, right? We can think that's going to operate differently, but human beings have existed for centuries. It does what it does, right? And so in the US, we're so wedded to identity. Where'd you go to school? What degree do you have? What's your title? Where do you live? Are you married? What does your husband do? What does your wife do? Do you have children? What do you drive? Is your house 3,000 square feet? Right? Do you have 2 million in retirement? Right? Are you on some board? Are you on the PTA? Are you on the board of directors? So wedded to title. So we start chasing an arbitrary thing and desiring something that you're not even sure why. Is it because somebody else has that? Or is it something that you really want for yourself? That's why a lot of people wake up and they're disillusioned and they're like, well, how the hell did I get here? And then now that I'm here and I have the title or the house or maybe not the full list, but part of the list, am I really going to give all of that away? It's hard to if your parents are immigrants, if they immigrated to the United States because they left wherever home was for them in search of a new life, in search of what they thought was a better life. And then now you're choosing to reject that, to remove yourself from that, to either go back to a place that they left or another place. And then there's the fear. It's like, if I actually leave, who will I be? Who will I be when I don't have the 6-7 figure salary, the title, the cars? I have not owned a car in almost 2 years. September makes 2 years. No, actually, I turned in the keys at the end of August. Okay, yes, next month. Well, tomorrow starts August, so where are you leaving? You going, Applebee? She decided she had enough of my lap. I haven't had a car in almost 2 years. I haven't had a dryer to dry my clothes in 2 years. I still have not gone to the laundromat in Portugal. And the other day I dropped off some clothes at the dry cleaner, or actually just one outfit. And that was only my second time in 2 months ever going to the dry cleaner here. No, I take the bus, I take the metro, I take Ubers. I live in an apartment. I don't have a house. I usually wear the same things every day. Like, I'm not worried about status. I think, I only have, I was like, I have accidentally a pair of designer glasses, but that was only because she gave me the box and I thought, oh, but she just put these in the box because they fit in the box. And then I realized they were designer lenses. But I don't seek out status. My joy comes from getting on planes. That's my drug of choice. Going to other parts of the world, going to other countries, meeting interesting people, um, doing interesting things. But that version of me, at least to the extent that I do it now, that wasn't, I would go to a couple countries a year when I would finagle my PTO. But now, don't take much. Somebody's like squirrel, oh, and I'm on Google Flights. But that comes from the shedding is leaning into the fear, meaning naming it as fear, right? Or the grief of letting go. What will I be if I don't have my family here? Like my family is at minimum 3,400 miles away, an entire ocean. I have no family in this country, right? I talked to my daughter maybe about 30 times. We're just messaging or sending voice notes. Or last night we were FaceTiming for like an hour. That was like the second time this week. My son is not great at communication, so I give him a pass. But my mom, I talk to her every day. I wake her up every morning. My brothers send me text messages, or you'll see them in the comments sometimes when I'm live. I feel like I'm more connected to my family now than I was in the United States. I certainly see them more. But some of us might be dealing with questions about what would freedom look like for me, right? Um, what who am I without the lens of the US, without the title, without the salary, right? Salaries in the US are very different than salaries in other parts of the world. Oh, speaking of brother, there he is. Yeah, I'm telling you. Oh, I do not shop. I buy plane tickets. Cosette said, I work at a school here in Bogota and we play soccer after lunch. Oh my gosh, I love that. Yes. Yeah, you know how much money you can save on clothes? Bailey just got off my lap and went to bed. She was like, Mommy, it's bedtime. Bailey is so funny. Kimmy said, the first thing Americans ask when you meet is, what do you do? Oh, yes, that one. It feels like everyone is networking, which feels like an extension of work, or they're trying to determine if I'm worthy to talk to. Yeah, because everything in the US is transactional. Everything. Everything is transactional, everything is commodified. And you see them when they these, clear folk, clear flat-footed folk be getting out and going other places and they see black people being joyful. And then they wonder why, like, wait a second, you're here too? Yes, bitch, I'm here too. Except your ass is on vacation. I love flexing on their little asses. What? I did not know they could turn whiter. Like, and I'm retired. Okay, Bob. Jokers. They're jokers. But enough about them. Who will you be? Right? You get to decide. So I don't know if this is going to show up right because I don't remember if I mirrored my camera. Um, but I'll show you anyway what I have in my office. Ooh, I'm going to get it without dropping. It might show it in reverse, so apologies, but I'll read it to you. So I keep this. It says, I don't think I mirrored my camera. She designed a life she loved. Right, I keep this. You can't see it. It's where I'm always able to see it. So it's my, oops, try not to drop it, Krishna. There we go. Um, it's like my reminder about my life. My life, this new chapter is a life that I designed. And my favorite quote of my own is live life by design, not by default. So like I have to remind myself sometimes, like, wow. Yeah, who will you be? Actually, I was about to text my brother earlier to tell him this, but I'll tell him here since he's watching. So I went to the store to buy Bailey some food a couple hours ago. And one of the gentlemen that works in the store, he was like, "Oh, how you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm good." And he's like, "Oh, did your brother enjoy the rest of his stay when he was here a few months ago?" This is what we're almost in August, right? We're at the end of July. My brother was here in April. Like he remembered my brother and I coming in, getting food for Bailey. You know how many people he sees on a daily basis, right? Like come in and out of this pet store. But he remembered. He was like, "Oh, he enjoys. Is he coming back?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, he's already talking about coming back." Like I could not have planned while I designed the life that I live. I could not have planned these moments of joy, right? That happen. Like when I was at Pilates today, it was only my second time at the studio. And I, check in and sat down, and the woman was like, "Oh, could you come here for a second?" I was like, "Oh," I thought she had asked me something about, because I did a trial pack just to see. And she's like, "Oh, your name is so different. It's so beautiful. Like, where did it come from?" And so, I explained, my mom, sister, and then my mom would tell my mom a story. She told me I got part of the story wrong. But anyway, needless to say, I told her, I was like, "It's very thoughtful." I said, "Most people don't ask me that question." And so I'm like, I love my life. I say it all the time to myself. I love my life. I love it. And Nemo, my brother, when he was here, he said, "Yep, and I didn't have a bad meal at Sangria." That's right. I got some new spots for you too. We had a Sangria bowl. What? Oh man, life changing. Edith said yes. I like that comment to Karen too. Look at us like, what the hell? Yep. Yep. They can't escape. Yes. Greta said, "A family member asked me, 'Won't you miss your family when living abroad?' It's not enough of a reason not to move. I'm out." Call, text, or come visit. Yep. Absolutely. And then you know what? Not everybody gets to see. And there was a video. It's an old one of mine from a couple of years ago. I should resurface that. Maybe I'll do it as a premiere, since it was like very very early in my YouTube career. But it's like who gets to say in your move abroad journey? Like, you know, everybody has an opinion, but sometimes you can't allow opinions to sway you. Mm. Okay. watch this voice because I have to do an interview tomorrow. I can't lose it. Lotus Foundation, beautiful. I always say you get to pick the direction, not the details. Ooh, I love that. I love that. Stage 5, the leap. Ooh, it was almost 2 years ago. Almost 2 years ago. The leap. I'm doing this scared, right? The excitement. Still fear. Fear can come up, right? Because, you're leaving everything, you're selling things, you're getting rid of things, you're closing down your life, excuse me, saying goodbye to friends, family, jobs, neighbors, neighborhoods, everything that's familiar. There is nothing, right? I mean, there's parts of my neighborhood that remind me of my childhood, and many parts of Portugal that remind me of my childhood growing up in the Bronx, surprisingly. But you are leaving everything that's familiar, right? And at the end of the day, I'm still an immigrant. I'm still a foreigner in this country. I don't have memories of growing up here because I didn't grow up here. I am learning the language, but, idioms, will go over my head because I don't have a cultural context, right? And so, yeah, there's an unfamiliarity, but that also stretches my brain because my brain has to actively think. I'm no longer in where I talked about earlier, stage 1, where I could live my life in my sleep, right? Rinse and repeat. It was Groundhog Day. I can't do that here. Every day is different. Literally, every day is different. Like tomorrow, what's tomorrow? Tomorrow's Friday. Get my eyebrows done, got to do an interview, and then I have dinner in the city, right? Saturday, I have potluck. Sunday, vision boarding, right? Like literally, right? Every day is something different. Oh yeah, and I have a nail appointment. Like it's literally different. And that's not even including the people I meet. Like I saw someone today when I was leaving Pilates. They recognized me. I was like, oh, hey, right? But you don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to have it all figured out. It was like Lotus Foundation said, you pick the direction, not the details. Right? You have enough information. You have enough information. And so you book the flight, right? You figure out where you're going to live. You do the visa. You get an attorney if you need to. You say goodbye. And you also say goodbye to the you that was there, the you that was stuck in survival, the you that played small in order to survive, in order to exist, right? You hopefully get to shed and leave behind that armor that you had to wear, that mask over your face, right? So many of us, myself, like that's something I'm actively working on, is allowing the soft spaces to emerge, right? You might dance it out, you might cry it out. You have to move your body, I mean, of course you're physically moving, but think about these, like I said, again, getting in touch with your emotions again, doing sensory things. You don't have to have it all figured out, but you just have to go. Right? I made a choice. I was like, And at that point, I hadn't even fully gotten to the number that I needed to. But I was just like, close enough. America, right? You know, people are like, what about your kids? What? I wasn't the only one that laid in that bed. They got a daddy and a stepmom. They'll be all right. The things that we, again, glom on, conditioning. Just because I'm a female, right? Just because I'm a mother. I'm also a woman, right? Of adult children, right? My son is going to be 25 in a few months. And I realized, oh my Jesus, I was 25 when I had him. Crazy. Crazy. So the leap stage that I'm going to do this while I'm scared is a stage that requires the most of you because you have to be courageous. But you can do hard things. You have an excellent track record for success. You've survived 100% of your worst days and 100% of your best days. So you got this. You got this. So you do it and you do it afraid. But the beauty of doing it and the beauty of doing it in this time is that you can have some community around you, right? There's always something going on, especially in Portugal, right? But there's Black in Bali, there's Expat app, there's Exodus Summit, right? Blaxit Global, Exodus Collective. There's so many communities. There's so many people in all these different parts of the world. Get in where you fit in. You know, I had a time in Vietnam. I had a time in Thailand. I can go to just about any country and look, we there. We're gonna tell you all the best spots, right? We're gonna do the line dances, we're gonna do all that, right? I had Jeff a few months ago on this channel talking about his life in Kenya, right? There's Ashley in Africa. She's doing wonderful things with the Africa Investors Academy. Go. Have fun. Mexico. E said, I'm sitting here thinking, I really see my family and we're all right here. I'd see them just as much or even more after I leave. Talk about it. My brother, who is in the comments, all three of us lived in the same state. I see my family more now. I do, right? I'm taking 2 trips to the US this year, right? Expat app, is that what you're talking about, Kimmy? The Expat app. Shar Winters Expat app. This is also a stage where people get stuck. Because if you got past 3 and you got to stage 4, where you're like, okay, I'm going to start to let go. Sometimes people get stuck. Get stuck. They might say, oh, I was going to leave, but my job said no. I was going to go, but X happened, right? This year has been a challenging year for quite a few people in the community. Parents passing away, other things happening, illnesses, friends, you know. Life still happens even when you leave. And you have to prepare for that. You have to prepare for that. That's a reality that you are going to either not be there for certain things, but even if you were in the same spot, I know I had Shar on. I think she had said it when she was on my channel, but she was talking about not being there when her dad had transitioned. It was like, well, I would not have been there anyway because of the distance. Not, and this is before she left the States. Some of us are living on different coasts, right? You might be on the East Coast, families on the West Coast or in the central part of the country. We can't predict every outcome. Yes, expat app. Thank you. But yeah, that's where people get stuck. 3 and 5. So we have 2 more. Stage 6, the unlearning. This is the stage I'm at. I've been here almost 2 years. I am still at the stage because here's the deal. While some of these stages are linear, right? I think 6 and 7, you might be at, you might jockey a little bit between these stages. Because there were times where I felt like I was at stage 7 and I'm realizing I'm firmly planted in stage 6 as of right now. And that's okay. The unlearning, right? Because while living abroad isn't the hard part, right? You will be confronted with different things, right? It's, again, cultural differences, language differences, customs, right? When you're at the store, elderly person, goes in front of you at the store. If you're in line, give up your seat. Of course, to someone who's, with children or pregnant or elderly, have you. And so there's that part. But the shadow work is the stuff that really, and that's why I stress journaling, realizing that this is an emotional journey as well as a logistical journey. Because you're abroad, and as a Black person who survived and extricated themselves from the United States, no doubt there's trauma, right? But we are more than generational trauma. Let's be clear. Because I know we talk about generational trauma, and I'm not undercutting that existence at all, right? But just like we carry generational trauma, they carry generational psychopathy. Because look at the shit that they're pulling now. That's in their DNA. They're no good ancestors. Okay? But you have to understand that some of these things, sometimes you'll be triggered. And it'll just come out, right? That it'll be a thought, maybe, that pops in your head, or a mannerism, right? And so you have to understand that however long you live in the United States, that there's internalized oppression that you have to work through, unearth. And it has to be unearthed. It has to be excavated so that you can process the things that you haven't been in a safe space to process. It's where therapy comes into play. It's where, again, community and being around other people who are working through it as well, hopefully, right? Unlearning hustle culture, consumerism. I have a TV here, and if I turn my TV on 3 times a month, it's a lot. I rarely watch TV. I rarely watch the news. I'm here. Portugal's what, sixth or seventh safest country in the world? I'm good. I'll be all right. I don't need to know everything. I don't need to know everything. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Yeah. And then embracing rest, embracing ease. You know, I got my recliner. That's my favorite thing in this house. I park my ass on that recliner. I hit that button. I'm like, beam me up, Scotty. And I take my naps. Whew, I take my naps. But the realization is, while living abroad and moving abroad can help you develop, create a soft life or a softer life, it's messy at times. It's messy at times. You know, it can be. Shara said, "That's me right now, ready to leap but scared." You can do it. You can do it. And that's where, like I said, community, coaching, group coaching, because we have accountability sessions. It's more like group coaching. But that's where you're going to be able to make the biggest, that quantum leap that you want for yourself. Community. I can't stress that enough. But the unlearning, that it's harder than I thought. For me, I'll be a little bit transparent here because this is something that I'm actively working on, and I also believe in being an example, is vulnerability. Vulnerability. Who would have thunk? Vulnerability is not my strong suit. And so I've wanted like the more, so back up a second. My zodiac sign is Cancer, the crab. So think about a crab, right? Very hard exterior, soft, juicy, sweet interior, if I do say so myself. So, but that outer shell, baby. So I've been wanting the softer, sweeter side to emerge, to complement, to mirror the life that I've created. And it's taken a while to, start to let the outer shell kind of start to dissolve a bit. Of course, you still need wisdom and discernment, boundaries, and all those things. I'm not saying those don't need to be there, but it goes back to what I said about being in touch with your emotions, having emotional fluency and a language for it. For some of us, we've grown up in environments where our parents didn't use their words. They may have used corporal punishment. They may have been raised by someone other than your parent. You may have been in foster home or raised by a relative, whatever the situation is. And so if you don't have a language for talking about your feelings to your loved one, right? Because that's where these things are formed at when you're a child. While you may be inhabit a physical adult body, you still have the behaviors and language of someone who just did not learn those things. But just because you didn't have them in your formative years doesn't mean you can't reparent yourself, doesn't mean you can't learn or unlearn things that were maladaptive. The external shell worked, right? Till it didn't. It worked to get me out of a bad relationship or a bad job or a bad country. But not when I didn't need it to anymore, right? The shell came back. And so part of the process is understanding what triggers are, not blaming yourself or shaming yourself when you're triggered, learning emotional fluency, um, and taking steps, asking yourself the questions. Why am I acting like this? When was the first time this thought came into my mind, right? How is this serving me in this moment? Is this something I want to carry with me throughout this journey? These are hard questions. This is the shadow work. This is harder than I thought. Because it's easy to default to maladaptive behaviors. It goes back to what I said in one of the earlier stages, right? When you're in survival mode, some of us drink, do drugs, shop, gamble, have sex, name whatever vice, right? Or all of the above, right? If you're feeling really froggy, right? And I mean, we're human beings, right? But what I'm saying is the things that you used in the past to help you deal with certain situations, certain environments, are not things that you're meant to carry with you forever. That carrying that extra luggage, that extra baggage, prevents you from ascending to a higher level, right? Because if that's what you aspire, you have to realize that there are some things that you're going to leave behind. Just like when you decide to leave the country, there are going to be some things you're going to leave behind. You know, you're not going to bring everything. It's not going to fit in these European elevators. It's not going to fit in the luggage, right? Same metaphor. But that's the process. Last but not least, number 7, the becoming. This is who I really am. And for all of us, that person, the real you, is and has always been there. That's the you that thought you could do and be anything you wanted, right? That's where your dreams and aspirations are, your deepest desires, your innermost secrets, the joy, right? When you laugh out loud, right? That's where it is. That's where peace comes in. That's where clarity comes in. That's where community comes in again. Because for so many of us, I mean, as Black people, we are a communal people. The United States is a very individualistic society. We were not meant to function in an individualistic society, right? We function as a collective. We look out for one another. And when you move abroad, you have your new chosen family, right? In the sense that anything pops off here, you know, somebody gets sick, something happens in the country, somebody needs something, we're each other's first line, right? We are. We're the ones checking in. Is everything okay? Because for many of us, our nearest relative is an ocean or more away. So this is where, like I said, the peace comes in. Sand between your toes, air filling your lungs, seeing the beauty in the space. You start building your life on your own terms, right? There's nothing in this apartment that I didn't bring in, that I chose to have in my space, right? There isn't a person in my life. I chose to have that person in my life. You make the connections. You try to live a new life. And if you're clear, you will try not to make an exact replica of your life in the United States in another country. You'll learn to create a new life. That's why I said leave all that shit in the US. Big ass furniture, big cars, big clothes, big da 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 da. No. Mm-mm. No. Reimagine freedom. Reimagine. It's not about location. Your location is like, I travel a lot. And luckily, when I travel, I love coming back home. Portugal is home. And it's not because the places I go to aren't beautiful. It's Portugal is home. I never felt that way when I was in the United States. When I travel in the United States, leave the United States, I'd be crying. I didn't want to go back. I'd be like, I don't want to go back. Don't make me go back. Right? Now I love it. But this is where I'm meant to be for this chapter. It might be forever. I don't know. Right? But it's less about the location. It's more about the liberation. It's about returning home to yourself. Hey, Tess. Mia, does Blaxit Global Community help with finding remote work? We post jobs. We have a job board. And usually what happens is when we have our accountability group where people can, announce when they come in and there's prompts. What I like to do is know what types of things that people are interested in so that as I'm like perusing the internets, I can keep an eye out. So then I can kind of post the jobs and things that I think would be most relevant. But yeah, for those of you that are in certain professions, it is harder, particularly if English is not the primary language of the country that you're going to. Many countries, though, have highly qualified skills shortage lists. Usually, the medical professions are all, I would say most of the times, on those lists. So if you're open to trying or starting in another country, you can look at other countries in their highly skills list or what countries have the biggest shortage in your field and choose to go there. That would be what I would do. Hey, Nichelle. Yeah. Unfortunately, when I was looking at the skills list, because I was on that one for New Zealand all the time, and they had at the time they were like social workers, and I was like, damn. Well, technically I'm a social worker, but I didn't have practice, and so I was like, I don't really want to do that. Like I want to go to New Zealand, but I was like, I don't want to do that. Now there's a visa I qualify for it, but look, whatever you need to do to get your foot in the door. Because what you want now is space between you and the place you're at right now. Right? Because space will give you perspective. Space will give you peace. ease, better health, certainly better food, right? Better people. You start to see that, human beings are genuinely or generally uh, nice if you let them, right? Like here, I remember when I had Emily on, my friend, we were talking about making friends in Portugal. And I don't even think we talked about it on that episode, but one night we were out and we were getting pizza and it was late and the place was about to close and they were like, oh, well, the inside is closed, but we'll make the pizza and we'll bring it to you guys outside. We're like, oh, okay, we'll just have some drinks and we'll just be standing. So we were standing on the corner. I think we both had a beer. And we're drinking bottles of beer on the corner while we're waiting for this pizza. We're laughing. This is like, are we like literally like in public just knocking it back and nobody's like, oh, the police are coming to lock us up. No foolishness. Mm-mm. No. It's like, you know, no foolishness. I've gone places where I didn't have cash and it's like a cash only place. And it's like, oh shit, what do? And they're like, oh, you just go get the money. You can pay tomorrow, or oh, you should go get the money. I'll wait till you come back. What? I remember being in Spain last year in Sevilla, and this truck pulled up. We were waiting for this restaurant to open. And I got the times wrong, and I was like, oh shoot. And I'm like, well, maybe they'll open early or whatever. They don't. These people like their rest. And this delivery truck came like with the day's food for the restaurant. Eggs, cilantro, tomatoes, avocados, like all the stuff pulled up and he's just unloading it on the street. And we're just standing there and he loads it all up, unloads it, gets back in his car and drives off so he could do his next delivery. I'm like, what the fuck? In the US that should be going. He wouldn't even be down the block and that shit would be going. I was like, so he about to leave like all of this? You ain't worried about me? They're not worried about. Mm-mm. I remember being in New Zealand and they were like, oh, well, we don't lock the. Why'd you lock the door? I was like, because I didn't want nobody coming in like while I was gone. Oh, no, you don't have to worry about that. Ain't nobody gonna do nothing. It's like, what? What? I mean, I still locked the door or whatever, but it was just like, oh, like during the day, and of course at night. But during the day, they were like, no, aren't you worried about somebody breaking? No. I mean, if somebody steals something, like your car, like, going in your car, no, we don't even lock the car door. I was like, why? Well, if they stole something, they obviously needed it more than you did. I was like, what? It's like, what the hell? And in some countries, public embarrassment, like having your family name like associated with some shit is enough to keep people in line. But not in the United States. We don't know our neighbors. We used to. We don't know our neighbors. Mm-mm. And in the line of shame, I mean, you know, I, I'll leave it there. Yes, it's totally different. Yeah, I know, right? Like, oh my gosh, they left all that food. I was like, you Just drove off. And it was like, we were just the only people on the street. I was like, it's, he wasn't like worried, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't leave this here because these people's, no, you bye. They be all right. Nope. And it's like, wow, right? Or, all the stuff that's going on in Sudan, in Gaza. There's a lot of protests that happen in Portugal. And the police are out to protect the protesters' right to assemble. Unlike the country that you're probably watching this from, right? It's different. You can have a different life. You can have a different life. You deserve better. Yes, no shame. Yeah. Michelle says, true what you said. Americans worry more about losing money or business opportunities than shaming their family name. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because a name means something. It goes back to what I said earlier. Like the woman was like genuinely like, wow, like where did your name come from? Your name. Someone chose a name and gave it to you. That's why in different cultures, African cultures, certain European cultures, where you have the name, your name, and then you have the name of your mother and father as part of your surname, right? And especially in African cultures, right? Like it's like your name means something. Mm-mm. We've gotten away from a lot of things in the United States. And for so many of us, I think a lot of us on this journey, we recognize it, that it's missing, and we want that in our lives. And we want to believe that it's still available. And it is. You just got to get out. Just got to get out. All right. So I'm going to run down the list one more time because I know some people came late. It is a beautiful journey. It is. So we're going to go through the stages one last time because I did not mean this to be 2 hours. Stage 1, the spark. There's got to be more than this. Stage 2, the breaking point. I can't do this anymore. Stage 3, the research spiral. How do I actually leave? Stage 4, the letting go. Who will I be if I leave? Stage 5, the leap. I'm doing this scared. Stage 6, the unlearning. This is harder than I thought. And stage 7, the becoming. This is who I really am. So I appreciate y'all rocking with me. And I hope this resonated with you on a lot of different levels. Gave you food for thought. Hopefully you've kind of figured out what stage some of you have shared where you are and what stages. Thank you for that. I'm going to leave you with an affirmation. Blaxit is not just about passports and plane tickets. It's about unlearning the lie that struggle is your only inheritance. You are allowed to choose peace. You are allowed to evolve. You are not behind. You are becoming. All right. Y'all, this was awesome. I appreciate you too. I'll be back next week. You're welcome. All right. I'll see you next week. Same bat time. We're gonna do this 4 o'clock thing. All right. You guys have a good weekend, and I'll see you later. Ciao, ciao.